Thank you everyone for waiting. As I just mentioned a couple of seconds ago, our presenter is Nigel Small-Couchet. Welcome to the user group, Nigel.
Thank you, Sarath. It's good to be here and good to be at the APAC AI community. So excellent.
Perfect. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. So just to give a bit of introduction to our attendees, I have a couple of questions for you. The first one pretty much is, how did you end up writing the book around AI and data strategy?
Okay, well, I have a couple of other authors as well, Rika Swami and Peter Marshall, and we firstly did the book Data to Insight Strategy, Data to Insight, and it basically ran through that data, information, knowledge, understanding, insight, act on that insight book. But what we found was, given that the AI and data is fairly in its infancy, I know you guys just talked about the improving the visibility of AI and that type of thing. It's really, a lot of it is in that strategy stage. So we wanted to put a book out there that gave organizations the ability to get that AI and data strategy together. Like, I've always been interested in AI and data solutions and things that are happening out there, but there seemed to be the need to have like a strategy book, how to bring it all together so that your whole organization can benefit.
Yeah, definitely sounds good. Yeah. And like you say, a lot of companies at the moment are in their infancy, just in their data journey. There are a lot of companies that haven't made that transition just yet. So this topic will be pretty useful for a lot of us who are trying to get into that field. I guess the next question I had quickly for you. So as we were discussing, and as part of the material I was reading the other day about yourself, it mentioned that you were one of the leaders who introduced AI into Queensland and set up the strategy here. Can you tell us how you got started on that?
Yeah, there's been the multiple number of organisations, local government, water company, and some state government, and also private industry. So what I found was there was a number of initiatives in place, and they may have had data scientists involved in doing isolated activities. They may have been tinkering around the edges with AI. And I found the need to get into this space and start talking about it. So one of the things I started was the AI Friday video series. Got out there and talked to a number of people across the Brisbane community, the university, QUT, and some other providers. And it just seemed a need to actually start putting in place like AI and data strategies. And obviously the names changed. Sometimes they're business intelligence analytics with AI attached to it. It might be called information insights, but it's that AI part of it is really where you get that generate the ability to have automation algorithms that build on themselves. You get the ability to bring together initiatives that data scientists can see what they're achieving. How do they rate? And one of the key things that I think it is all about is it's about aligning to your business strategy. It's aligning to what your business needs to do. What are those business goals that are required, so that you can still align back to that and ensure that you're meeting what the business needs, rather than going off in a direction that might seem cool, but it might not be helping the business. So that's the main reason I got into it, and one of the things that's enabled me to have a template and be able to produce that on a regular basis.
Perfect. Yeah. I guess one more question for you then. Are you a full-time author? Do you have or what else do you do apart from writing a book?
Yeah, so I've since October I've accepted the role with Business Aspect as practice lead with information analytics, and that also allows me to continue on doing strategies for organizations. And, you know, they could be a digital strategy, for instance, which has AI and data attached to it. It could be a platform strategy, which has that ability to do the analytics and information and visibility and being able to do dashboards, etc. And that the analytics part is the part that provides the information for decision making and provides the information to go forward with that data. So that's one of the big things I've found in the last few months is the platform approach to get the productionize and automate that data right through to being able to use it. So yeah, if there's one of the reasons I called the book AI and data is they're intertwined. Those two, data is required for the AI to work, and AI is required to automate that data. So it's very important to bring those together, bring it together in a strategy to work from there. And I guess when way back in the early 90s, when I first had my first job from uni, I saw the value there of doing dashboards and visualizations. Even though the PC was in its infancy, I could see that there was value in automating data, keeping the data quality together, and providing those sort of information through to managers, etc. So it's been a bit of a lifelong journey. It certainly wasn't called AI so much back in the day, but we've branched off and be able to use tools through AWS, Google, Azure has been really good. So I've got accounts for all of those, and all of us can use that going forward.
Perfect. Yeah. I guess what we'll do then, just in the interest of time, then, if you're ready, we'll start with the presentation.
Yeah.
And we'll keep, unless anybody has any questions in chat, JK, we'll get started.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Thanks, Sarah. And yep.
It's all yours. I'm just going to drop off stream for a few minutes while your presentation is on, Nigel.
Okay. So yeah. So what I was going to say just at the start, talking to Sarah before, is what I want to do is provide a free copy of the book to one of the viewers tonight, and I'll have a question at the end, and if you're able to answer that, give away the free book. I think that's a good way of keeping attention, maybe. Okay, so tonight, talking about AI and strategy, and building that strategy that can unleash the power of AI and data. So without a strategy in place, it's hard to get that capability and make that positive transformational change that you need in your organization. So we've discussed the book a little bit. We're working on a new book, Superpowers of Industry 4.0. And Rika Swami, that should be on the call as well tonight, she's helping me with that. And it looks in further detail on what are the key superpowers that really can and get that fourth industrial revolution going, and drive initiatives like Mofflin the AI pet, for instance, because I've got a very hairy golden retriever at the moment, and I think that pet sounds pretty attractive to me. So I mentioned my role at the moment, the principal consultant at Business Aspect, so practice lead for information analytics, and the digital ICT advisory is also what I look after and provide the strategies through that. So if you look at the fourth industrial revolution and how we've got there, we've got the first industrial revolution, and that was powered by the steam engine in about the 1760s or 70s, led to the new manufacturing process. It also, with the creation of factories, this revolution saw the transition from hand production, which was across the farming community, and machines powered by steam and water. So even back in those early days, people were mentioning the fact that, okay, these machines are going to take our jobs, etc. So it's amazing that that's come up in every industrial revolution so far. Then you have the second industrial revolution, came about 1880s, and it was characterized by the mass production of industries such as steel, oil, and the electricity. So you had the light bulb, the telephone, and you were able to the internal combustion engines that some of the key inventions of this era come through. So third industrial revolution, so started in the 1960s, and it was the invention of that personal computer that I was talking about before, the use of communications and computing technologies, and it really was a big step forward, and it gave the power of being able to do your own analysis, that type of thing, on your own computer. So it was quite a large change. And then we have the fourth industrial revolution. So I'm talking about the physical, digital, and the biological, and the blurring of the lines across there. And you've got the data science has started with the changing the way we work and the way we live. The data, the gathering, the analysis, the decision making, and being able to predict things for the future. So it's going to be very interesting as we continue in the fourth industrial revolution, and communities like this will help Australia become one of the leaders in the fourth industrial revolution. And one of the things is it's not something to get too afraid about. There's talk about we'll lose our jobs, etc., but like in all of the other industrial revolutions, there's jobs created that we didn't have before. So for instance, when you're growing up in primary school, you probably didn't think that you'd have the job that you have today, for instance. There's a definition of the fourth industrial revolution, and it talks about the blurring of the physical and the biological and digital. So and the way it's changing the way people live and work. I think that's the most important part of it. So what I thought I'd start with, and I'm happy to answer questions as we go through this. So what are some of the eight reasons to develop an AI and data strategy? So what I've got here is just some of the reasons that I've found when I've gone to organisations and I've heard about their situation. So I'm happy for some questions to come through if that's okay with you guys. And so one of the first ones is data is the untapped resource. We talk a lot about this, that the data is out there, like the big data growth that's been in the last 10 to 20 years. You're going to have that untapped resource in most organizations, and that's where we come in to be able to use that data in the best way that we can use it. So it's not like we want more and more data. We want the right data to be able to answer questions and do the decisions that we need. So I was working for a large council, for instance. They had a lot of data in an ERP application. They had data on trees, potholes, bins, jobs relating to this, and the data came in more of the more traditional fashion with drive-bys, people working, noticing things, and through the customer complaints and feedback from the public. There was the ability to capture data from, say, the rubbish trucks and be able to use object identification to be able to use that data, put it into data warehouses, etc., and use algorithms to improve the way you use the object identification and come out there with the ability to use those rubbish trucks to be able to find the potholes, trees, tree height, whether the bins are there or not, and use that data. So what I'm saying there is that the data is an untapped resource, but it can come from a number of sources. Videos, it could come from CCTV videos, it could come from sensors, it could come from cameras, smart poles, you name it. The data's out there, but the main thing is to try to get the right data that you need to improve customer experience, to improve the ability to service your customers and possibly new markets. So, Sarath, I just wanted to say is there any, or JK, is there any particular questions around this point?
None so far. I'll stop you when we get some questions.
Okay, so you're happy to take them in if people have got certain examples or want a bit more of an explanation. So I've touched on this one already. So have that common purpose across initiatives. So in order to have a successful AI and data strategy, you need to bring together all the initiatives that are out there that are creating value. Put together a strategy, link it to the goals, so and promise those initiatives, get them the right funding. Ensure that they operate within their area of expertise, and it may require a combined purpose. So, for instance, for RPA to operate effectively, for IoT to be able to utilize the data effectively, to have bots employed for, say, service desks, or more modern bots that are out there with the customer providing information. In order to do that, sometimes you actually need that big data platform and cloud platform that has all that data, that can mix it together to show value. So bring that data together and have that common purpose. So one of the big things about a strategy is it brings that all together for a common goal. So that's what I've found to be really effective. As well, sometimes the data scientists are brought in, data scientists and data analysts are brought in, and they work on one particular thing, but they don't see the big purpose. What are we trying to work towards? If you have an AI and data strategy that everyone can see, they can understand what the big picture is. They know how they're contributing, and I feel it just brings everyone along for that common purpose, and it really adds value. Okay. So the third one is anticipate customer needs. So traditionally, and I'm talking about like BI and analytics strategies, or just reporting strategies, those types of things. Traditionally, they're looking more down the chain of descriptive analytics and looking at the past and trying to build a picture of the past to make decisions. Now, to anticipate customer needs, you need to be able to do that predictive and prescriptive analytics. You need to have the data available. Maybe it might be unstructured data from social media. Maybe it might come in the fact that you're combining different data sources from internal and external, and you're able to do that, anticipate customer needs. And certainly the big companies like Microsoft, AWS, and Google, and they have that ability to go out and do those products. But really, in the main, most organizations don't have the ability to anticipate customer needs, apart from having customer interviews, etc. So when I was working for a social media company that basically analyzed media and provided that as data. They were able to bring together different data sources, analyze that data, and anticipate the customer needs. For instance, with the mining industry, they were able to look at, okay, what are the big miners? What's the data on what's working, what's not working? What's the sentiment with regards to that? And they're able to anticipate customer needs in a better fashion. Okay. So move on to 4. So you're looking at focusing on the business goals, and I've sort of mentioned that before, but I just want to talk a little bit more about it. The operational efficiencies, innovation, that's some of those business goals, and you need to keep your focus on what those business goals are and how you're going to achieve it. And that's what the AI and data strategy can do, is it can really align to those business goals. So for instance, I've got an example, Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon, and I've mentioned this in my book. He was talking at the Mars conference in 2019, and he was talking to a whole heap of data scientists, AI specialists, in the audience at the AWS conference. But what he started with, he said, you need to concentrate on the things that won't change, not the things that will. So what he was saying was focus on things like the bottom line, that Amazon is offering products at low prices and they're delivering them fast. That's why they're in business. So focus on that. So then obviously got on to drones delivering goods, operational efficiencies that can be applied through robotic process automation, using data to reduce costs, reduce time to market. But you've always got to align what you're trying to achieve back to what the business is doing. So that was quite amazing to me when I was listening to that, and it really set the scene of what he wanted people to focus on.
Hi, Nigel. Sorry to interrupt you. We do have a question from Craig. So the question is, how do you go about anticipating customer needs? Most times they don't know for themselves.
Yeah, that's a good question. One of the things you can do with sentiment analysis is you can get a gauge for instance, in social media, you can get a gauge of what's out there, what people are thinking about, and what's the conversation. And there'll be a lot of junk out there as well, but there's the ability to analyze that. Machine learning certainly can help in that area, and deep learning certainly can take you in different directions to what you think. But I think the anticipating customer needs is going to be one of the key things that AI will enable, because it's got the tools and the algorithms that you can set up to be able to get that to a greater ability than what's been done before. And obviously the quantum computing, being able to have more complicated questions to go through a lot more data, is going to bring out the opportunities. So certainly it might not be evident exactly at the start, but certainly going through the data, you can come up with completely different results. It's quite amazing there. Okay.
Thanks for the question. That was a great answer.
Yep, excellent. Now, we've heard about data monetization, and it's becoming a very lucrative area for certain companies, and it's going to become more and more important, and it's also being able to monetize your own data. You can actually save yourself a lot of money, research reports and the like, that you have to actually pay quite a bit of money if you can actually start to monetize that data. So we are seeing a lot more. And I was going to mention, I talked to Sarah about it yesterday. I've got this book, Artificial Intelligence in Practice. A lot of you would know Bernard Marr. There's actually 50 examples in there of how AI is successfully enabling innovation, enabling monetization, enabling the anticipated customer needs. It's quite amazing. One of the interesting, going back to AWS again, is one of the interesting ones is in the book is around the ability to monitor the customer's actions, I guess, when they're purchasing or searching on the websites, and they can actually send out goods or send goods to the closest warehouse to accommodate and ensure that need is met. So it's certainly beneficial to you if you were looking for something and 2 weeks time you actually buy it, that you'll actually get it delivered a hell of a lot quicker than it would be normally. So data monetization is definitely going to be something for the future. But you need to have that strategy in place. You need to be able to have that big data platform, be able to have a sandbox, to be able to have the warehouse data lake, to be able to get that information in there and churn it around and try to come up with some conclusions to reach new markets and enable innovation and monetize your data. Now, probably number 6 is probably one of the biggest ones that I look at. So in the working with the organizations now, I've set up 3 data analytics community practices. Now, that's not an easy thing to do, and it does take quite a lot of work. But what I've found is the money available for AI and data initiatives is quite often comes out of the IT budget, but the IT budget is already pretty stretched, keeping the lights on activities and also moving to cloud, and also the things like Office 365 and all these things. So what you need when you set up with an AI and data strategy is to promote the idea of data sharing, promote a community of practice that where people can come from different business areas and demonstrate some of the success stories that they've had with data. This can gather a bit of momentum. This gets people talking, and then they can jointly fund those foundation items that you need to build that data platform. It's important, and it gets that support and groundswell of that you can launch initiatives much better. And once they've invested together in that platform, they can all benefit from the automation and extra data, sharing that data across the areas. I've also mentioned data story there, and there's quite a lot of articles, books, etc. on data story, but it's important to have that ability to do a data story. So you look at the data, for instance, you can show the data in a dashboard, and you show that data, you can provide commentary, you can show how it provides value and how it achieves the aims and the business requirements that you got. And there's some quite good people that are able to do those data stories, and I think it's a moving beast. So it's really going to be something that'll move the AI and data out of the traditional approaches and much more into the human side of things with that. There's other ways apart from having a community of practice. There's collaboration that you can have through social media, and certainly the APAC AI community. I'm a big supporter of it, and this is part of that encouraging innovation, getting into it. The Queensland Hub that you've talked about, great organisation, and other methods. So that the ability to use that internally in organisations through perhaps Yammer. I've seen and been involved in organising a few hackathons where you get that innovation and you're able to get involved and solve real world problems. Okay. So number 7. So they wouldn't be complete without a focus on data quality. So quite often strategies have been about that data quality. So the trust is not there in the organisation for the data, and they can't make decisions on that data, investment decisions that are needed to get the company going or the government organisation going. I was with one organisation that the CIO wanted a data quality indicator presented on every report and every dashboard that was provided. And how that worked was, if there was a single source of truth and the data had a metadata model, master data management across it, and it didn't involve multiple rekeying and the data was good, that's 100%. So, but if there was multiple rekeying, different systems involved, no single source of truth, you would end up with a lower figure, and then that data wasn't considered to be good enough to have those investment decisions. So I think that focus on data quality is going to be more and more important. And I did hear the other day around technical debt, that we've got a new type of technical debt that's arrived. We've got a lot of data scientists and providing machine learning, providing new applications, and they're isolated and they're not within a single area that can be managed. So there's new technical debt that is happening, that if you don't have a data platform and you don't have the data architecture right, that can get worse and worse.
And Nigel, we do have another question from Jeff. Isn't data quality dependent on what you are going to apply it to?
Yeah, hi Jeff, I know him quite well. Good to see you. Yeah, so data quality is certainly can be defined on what you're going to use it for. So if you had the requirements, the business requirements for a certain part of using that data, that would be the data quality indicator would be based on what it's going to be used for. So that's definitely correct. So around that investment decisions, if you had data that was in that investment decisions, if you quoted that data, you would need to ensure that was of sufficient quality to provide that as like an investment database decisions based on that. So excellent.
And we have also another question from Craig. Have you encountered any good data quality tools?
Well, I've used Informatica, which has been quite good. SAP Data Steward, and there's a range of other tools from that you can use through AWS and Azure, etc. So it depends on what systems you have and what cases you can use it for. So so there's a range out there. You can do before buying a data quality tool, you can do an evaluation, and that evaluation needs to take into account what systems you've got, what's the purpose of why you need to achieve that data quality, and what you get out of. Like what Jeff was saying, what is the purpose of that data? What's it going to be used for? And then you get the right data quality tool that you need for that organization. One of the things I've found as well is depending on the organization, and you can take the whole data analytics and insights, information analytics, you can take that as a vertical space right through, and you could get the best of breed tools for each of those areas. Say data quality, you could get the data warehouse, different tools. You could do that in a vertical fashion, or you could do it right across the broad spectrum. So say you could go with Azure, for instance, or Google or AWS, and take all the tools that they've got and go through that. Or you could do a hybrid approach. And the hybrid approach can mean that you can go with, say the Azure data warehousing tools, the Synapse. You could use all their tools from right through from collect, store, analyze, present, with Power BI, etc. You could go through the whole lot, or you could grab certain ones like for data quality and use the rest of the tools that are available. So I think that's like an important decision to make. And before jumping for one solution, have a look at the total needs of the organization in that strategy, and then go from there, if that makes sense.
That sounds awesome. Just to let anyone know, Phil a while ago asked for the book. I have added a link to the Amazon book, and the Kindle version is only $4. So definitely in my shopping cart.
Yeah.
All right,
so
you can carry on.
That's excellent. Yeah, and it really is. I'd encourage anyone out there to be able to write a book. It is very interesting, and it enables you to do a lot more research yourself and come up with some conclusions. So yeah, don't be daunted at all about doing it. Anyone can do it. So
sounds good. I'll let you go.
Yeah. So with the whole strategic approach, there has to be the importance to say data transformation takes time. It's not super easy, and some people get caught up with the latest tools and techniques that are available. But it really does take time to put that platform in place to be able to go from the data through the information, knowledge, understanding, and insight, and be able to act on that insight in a way that can be replicated across. So there needs to be significant investment in AI and data in organizations, and it needs to be given that approach. And that's one of the big things that I've found is to talk, when you talk to senior management, make sure that you identify that it is a program of work that needs to be done. Okay. So what I've done here is I've just with business, consumers, technology, and finance, I've just talked about those in the examples, but I thought it'd be good to put it in a driver's slide, and you can see there that there's a number of different ways you can look at it. Obviously, whenever I talk to finance, it's all around efficiencies gained, how to implement becomes cheaper to implement, how to use real-time data for better costs, and that really does also depend on who you're talking to. So, for instance, when you're trying to sell AI and data, and it doesn't matter what role you're in, be conscious of who you're talking to, because they will have their own stakeholder concerns and be wanting to look at that. So say, for instance, in the marketing area, the consumers, they're looking at what target markets information you can provide us. So alert customers and new functionalities, new fit for purpose abilities, and that type of thing. So in the book, I talk about the superpowers of AI and data, and it's certainly it doesn't have everything in this particular one. But what I'm trying to do whenever I talk to people is to talk about what's the benefits, and what does it mean to mean to have that? So for instance, with robotic process automation, it's the automation of repetitive tasks through software and the ability to have advantages and reduce the time spent on, say, low value tasks is quite considerable. So blockchain, what does blockchain do? Well, it's fast, resilient, tamper-proof transactions. So that's one of its big benefits. Data science and analytics, and that's a big field, but you deploy models from data to improve those decisions. And we've talked a bit about that. With machine learning, enable software to learn with data without human input. And that's an increasingly progressive field as we go. Internet of Things connects the physical world for the exchange of data, and we were talking earlier about the blurring of the worlds with the physical, digital, and behavioural. So it's quite amazing. So this is all the basis to the fourth industrial revolution and why there's such gains happening and so many changes across society. So I brought these together: robotics, drones, and autonomous vehicles. And robotic process automation, I was talking about there before, saves those humans time. RPA is becoming more advanced. So using image recognition, text analysis, you have as well, you've got robot interactive interface with software robots using AI technology track and record their own actions. So you have automation of things like data entry, claims, order processing, copy pasting tasks, gathering the information about customers. I've just got another one there. Look, this is a huge field, but vehicle sensing and environmental model. You've got the ability now for AI in your car to say, okay, JK, Sarah, have you're not paying attention? Have you seen the person step from the curb over on the right there? It's potential danger. So you've got these AI in cars to help you drive. So that's what I really see, and that's one of the reasons I got involved with AI, is I can really see it assisting humans in the future. You know, it's not just going to be autonomous vehicles driving by themselves. It's going to be assisting us drive and reducing the amount of crashes that happen, and assisting will prevent human death, and it also will enhance what we do in society. And as well, so with robotic processes, particularly with the robots, say with the AWS, for instance, warehouses, you've got a lot of the automated, a lot of low-value tasks that can be automated. So you have a lot more control over what you're doing. So in the future, I can see that a lot more people out there will have a lot more authority to make judgment calls, to be able to do a lot more than they did in the past. So the low value jobs that can be automated can enable a lot more people to have judgment calls when they're doing their work. Just grab a drink of water. Okay. So we have blockchain, and I mentioned before the fast, resilient, tamper-proof transactions. So we're all hearing the news about cryptocurrencies, for instance, the use of data security, secure platform, the use of smart assets. Telstra is able to manage the faults and maintenance through open contracts. With where I'm working at the moment, we've got like a property development transaction platform at Business Aspect that we're able to use that the property development process and use the ledger to be able to increase the confidence in the task being done and automate the transactions. So it's a big area, and blockchain is about to, in this year and the next couple of years, going to be much more talked about and used across society. And it'll be great if you don't have to go and do your, pay for conveyancing, go through the old processes with real estate, wait when you purchase shares, etc. A lot of those processes, blockchain with AI will be enabled. So I've included data science analytics as one of the big drivers with AI and data. So dashboards, visualizations, being able to do that predictive and analytics, the onset of quantum computing, data mining, and the ability to deploy analytical models from complex data, have those algorithms, and have algorithms improve on themselves. So AI has been using, in the industry for sentiment analysis, customer data analytics, complete mundane data sorting and cleansing tasks. That's becoming more commonplace, particularly as well around object identification, be able to automate that and have real-time dashboards that actually not only detect opportunities and errors, they actually go away and fix them. So they automate those processes that you actually fix the problem and go before the customer knows about it. And that's really where you want to be. And closely followed by, with the data analytics, is the machine learning. So enable the computer systems to learn without data, without explicit programming. So you have in there the deep learning capabilities, the virtual assistants, and those machine learning based algorithms are being used more and more out there in the industry. So one of the when I worked for a manufacturing industry, they used it for product inspection and quality control, and it's not only useful, I guess, in the assembly line, it's also useful with inventory management tasks as well. And the Internet of Things we talked about as well, and you talked about devices on the AI-powered dog collar, for instance, earlier. So there's these wearables that are coming in, but there's also devices, sensors out there that are able to help society mend. So for instance, there's in the train machine learning models, there's they can spot whether the human is paying attention, and there's sensors in like public transport that can warn on ongoing failures that might be coming. So there's a lot of cases where the Internet of Things is helping out. It also links into the to blockchain with payment data monetization, being able to link into the thing commerce across the world. So all of these AI and data superpowers do relate to each other. And this is a common diagram that I showed, that transformation starts with strategy, but it's not the end of the story. It's you then need to have that architecture, the data architecture, the design that's required. Then you need that capability uplift. So I talk a lot about people, process, information, and technology. Even though we're talking about AI, and which is a technology, it has big effect and cannot be implemented unless you're looking at people, process, and information as well. So that capability uplift needs to come right across the organization. And then you can achieve that transformation, or have the arrows going back to show that it revolves around itself, and there's a need to update the strategy at regular intervals, and no less than once a year to update that strategy and make sure that the quick wins, the medium-term wins, and long-term wins are in place.
Hi, Nigel. Hope I can interrupt you a little bit. We got a question from Craig. I have seen numerous arguments and counter arguments about the impact that AI will have on human employment. What is your opinion on this?
I do have a AI Friday video on this, but in summary, what I would say that it opens up so many more jobs and opportunities, and these jobs are much more interesting jobs. So I can understand that there is an argument that AI will take certain jobs, and I outline in the video 10 industries that are part of that. But if you look at, they're generally the more process-oriented ones, the low-skill jobs that can be automated. So the more high-value jobs are out there and becoming more and more prevalent, and this will enable people to do those judgment decisions. So do we necessarily need 30 or 40 people down at our local McDonald's working, for instance? Surely if they were given the opportunity to do a job that helps the business, it helps communicate with others, I think that they would jump at it. So you could potentially have 2 or 3 people running a McDonald's, for instance, and they would have the judgment calls to do quite a lot of decision making during the day. So I always see it as a positive thing, that it enables more people to have better value jobs, possibly higher pay in the future. And it's definitely an interesting field, and it's creating jobs as we see. So a lot of the, of course, a lot of people on this call, I would say, have jobs that wouldn't be there if AI and data wasn't a big thing. So it's creating a lot of interesting jobs out there. So I think it's of high value, and particularly in another sense is some of the factory workers that could be working in, say, a dangerous environment. That will be able to be automated, and it'll enable a lot safer workplace by having our friends AI helping us out and keeping us safe.
Yeah, that's a good answer. I think in the future we'll have to just look into how can we make certain jobs easy to start. Like, for instance, factory worker, you show a person what they need to do, and then they repeat that for a long time. Probably in the future, we'll have a lot of creative works that can work in a similar way. And hopefully that will fix the problem with automation taking over the jobs.
Yeah, and I did mention this back in the fourth industrial revolution slide. There was talk of the industrial revolution taking jobs in every one of them. I think it was Jimmy Carter's speech. He said they were going to go. It's right across every industrial revolution that jobs were going to be taken. And as we know it, there's a much more bigger variety of jobs than there were 200, 300 years ago. Every time the Industrial Revolution doesn't take the jobs, and there's more jobs out there. And if you look at it another way, there's potential for us to have more time to spend with our families, more leisure time. We may end up that we only need to work, say, 6 hours a week. Certainly hasn't happened with me just yet, but it may happen that if a lot of our more mundane tasks are automated, we're able to have more leisure time. Okay.
Yeah, thanks for the answer.
Yeah. So that's that. The strategy is not the end of the piece, and it takes a real effort across the organisation to have that transformation. So what I thought I'd do now was just to outline 8 steps in developing your AI and data strategy, and this is very high level. So, but what I thought would give you a sense of how I develop an AI and data strategy, and how it can be across the organization, not just the technology. So we looked at some of the why, those 8 reasons why before, and the first one is the reason. I think Jeff mentioned this as well earlier. So identify how AI and data can transform your business. So what's the reason? What's the reason that we're getting in this game? Now, to do that, talk to the key stakeholders, obtain the information that you need about the business and where's the business is going, where they want it to go, and how can the data in the organization and outside of the organization can help you go forward. And then you have that first strategy. Now, this first strategy, I'd knock this out in within the first week or two. So you knock it out. You have a template to use, and you address at a high level the end goal. So I always try to operate with the end in mind, if that makes sense, and get that stakeholder support. Okay, well, this is roughly what we're looking at. There's a lot more detail that needs to be done, but you get that the sponsors report support, and also the key stakeholders. And then you look at the technology. So across those superpowers of AI and data, and there's many that aren't there. What are those that can transform your organization? So what are the particular ones that are applicable to my industry, to my organization, and what are you trying to get out of it? So what are those technologies? So what information needs do you want? So how can you turn that data into actionable insights? How do you do that? Then you look at the people side of things. So what are the best ways you can improve your AI and data culture? So there's no use bringing in AI when it's not going to fit with the organization. How can it best be brought in and then be provided with a supportive culture? Look at the processes. So what are the current achievements? What are the pain points, and what are the future requirements? So what are the key processes to look at? What can AI and data do to really knock out those quick wins? So what are some of the low value tasks we can knock over to get the people doing some high value tasks? What are the things that need to be done longer term? So around the platform, how do we get from collecting data right through to presenting the data for analysis? And the strategy, then you come up with the strategy that brings together that technology, information, people, and process, and you bring that together and have the final workshops to nut out the strategy and operational plans and how that's going to affect and what programs and initiatives are required. And then the realization. So that's the all-important one at the end is how do you uplift the right mix of these capabilities? So how do you provide a strategy that has that all in there, the technology, information, people, process? How does that all work together to realize and achieve those goals that you need longer term? So if we look at the capability-based driven approach, I've just got it shown there. So the people, so we're talking about an AI and data culture, a supportive culture that is aware of AI, it's not frightened by it, and it embraces it as best as we can. Process, we're looking at the automation and the quality of data. How can we get the best quality and the right data to the right decisions? So information, the data to insights, how do you get it right through to that, and what's the platform that we need across the technology? And for instance, with the business motivation model, now this is really more in business architecture terms. I've got a sample one, and this one's in the book. You're always going from means to the end. So the mission might be quality services at a competitive price. Your vision might be generate efficiencies and gain market advantages. So you got your strategies there, and for instance, digital business, and you could have IT, people strategy, finance strategies, etc. And then you have your AI and data, how that fits together. And one goal, for instance, is you want to monetize the data and you want to collect to reach those new markets. One tactic could be establish that platform. And one objective is around building a robust AI and data platform for business use by the end of the financial year. And quite often, if you have those data analytics community of practices in place, you're telling them about the platform, they want to get on board. They want to be one of the first ones to use that platform, and you can get that momentum through the organisation through that. Okay, so one of the diagrams I quite often draw for key stakeholders is around it takes an effort to get data collected and to be able to act on it. So what's not here is the business requirements, the reason for the data. Then you collect data, analyze data, present the data, gain insight, and then act on that insight. So that value stream is what you're trying to get to be able to have real results from that data. You're not collecting data for the sake of it. You're trying to have it so that you can make some real decisions on it. And you want to be insights driven. You don't want to be data driven. That's an old term now. You want to be insights driven. You want to be focusing on what's the results you can get. We're not after just data. We're after insights. Just got a quick diagram here, and this is there's a chapter in the book about culture, AI and data culture. So the values, how you manage that change, the attitude, you sustain your culture. You need to assess your culture regularly. What's your behaviours? How can we best meet that? And you can definitely have surveys there. Surveys can help to assess that behaviour and try to build that culture. And once it becomes customs, you can define that new culture on board. Now, in the first book, Data to Insights, I talk a lot about the data to insights triangle and how you go from data right through to insight. So in that data layer, roughly the information in raw or unorganized form. So that's where the Internet of Things is. So within this layer, that's the devices providing that data, and it's stored for use. Once you get up to that information layer, you're looking at the data in context, and you're looking at providing metadata classifications for the data, like the information security level, the life cycle of the data lineage. Some of those decisions are starting to be made. And the knowledge layer, I call that organizing that information, defining patterns. So that's where the data scientists start to be on board, start to apply those analytics, draw the dashboards and the visualizations, and start to organize that information, provide patterns that can be used. The understanding, I'm calling that, is the interpreting the patterns. So you're looking at the real-time information, how can it be applied? You're starting to build that data story, the narratives, how that can be done, the meetings to the statistics. Okay, we've got those dashboards, what do they mean? And applying a bit of understanding to it. And then the insights layer, you apply that understanding to that useful endeavor, and you're able to act on that insights. So I've just put together that triangle in the book to explain that. And there's quite a lot of different ways in looking at the traditional authors called it data, information, knowledge, wisdom, but we've gone away a little bit from the wisdom side of things, and we're generally calling it insights these days. And you say you have the data and information area that needs to be uplifted. You also have the people, the process, and the technology, and you have the finance and governance that surrounds that. Okay, so what I've done out of a number of workshops and AI and data strategies that I've done, I've just put together an example just to give you a sense of what this could look like. So if you have, I try to always have the business strategy, and this is definitely within the document. What are the drivers? What's the mission? What's the vision? Like what Jeff Bezos says, we got to concentrate on what the things that don't change, the customers, being able to deliver goods fast and at low prices. So what is the business strategy? And that varies from private organizations to different industries. Government organizations are more around the customer centric, better services that you can deliver based on the amount of money that we have available to work with. And so the main strategies, and there could be a number of others here. I've got the people strategy, the operations strategy, the ICT strategy, and say the IM strategy. But you could have others like corporate strategies, the finance, a range of others. And one of the big ones these days is the digital strategy that I quite often have the AI and data as one component to the digital strategy. So down the bottom here, I've got a vision, a sample vision, and this one actually came from the Digital Government Conference a couple of years ago. I ran a workshop and we came up with this one: become an insights-driven organisation where our people evolve as artificial intelligence evolves. Purpose: provide a blueprint to enhance our capability to harness the potential of AI and data. So that's the purpose around the strategy, and the vision is what you want to achieve in that 3 to 5 year bracket. Now, quite often what I would try to do is align it. How do you align it to the people strategy, for instance? So when you're talking to, say, a HR manager or a director or someone from people engagement, for instance, that's where you want to start. You want to be talking about, okay, how does the AI and data strategy affect people? So you're trying to build that. The goal is try to build that AI and data culture. So that might be enabling people to have that ability to access the data they need to achieve the results. That could be around, I've got some of the tactics there, capability of enablement. So that enables people to have that training. You have people that can be sponsors, I guess, of that training in excellence. And you could have things like, as well as self-service of the data. Once people are allowed more access to their own data, that certainly brings about some increased employee satisfaction that you might get. It might be around, when you're talking to the people manager, you might be talking about, well, how do I create an AI data team, a central team, or how do I have that across the organization as a decentralized team? Who comes to these data analytics community of practices? Who provides things like data governance? Who has those decisions that they make? Who might be data owners, data custodians? Who are those people? And that can help in that AI and data culture coming across, and there might be workshops that are needed, etc. And another thing there with the benefits I've got is evidence-based decisions. So that's at a higher level. If you wanted something it might be the amount of data that's available, you might have to bring it back to that level. But those evidence-based decisions for investment, etc., is definitely a benefit to people going forward. Now, the next one, for instance, is the process, and we're looking at the operation strategy there, aligning to that to ensure that the processes are correct. So, for instance, I've got, what have we got? The automation and quality. So, for instance, you might want to streamline processes. That's a big way of having those operational efficiencies. You can enable a more seamless experience for customers and for staff, and those processes may be redundant. So, for instance, a lot of organisations I work with, the finance area, might take the information from SAP. They might take it into a spreadsheet. They might redo the spreadsheets. They might do up Word reports or put it into a dashboard. They might even take it from Excel to Power BI. All of those things could be reduced if they were automated, and the quality could be improved as well with quality tools and be able to increase that. So some of the benefits there: reduction in data errors. Obviously, if you automate things, there's less keying. You're going from that single source. You're going to improve the data and the data quality. Yeah, so I've got cost reductions from drones and robots. So that's, depending on the industry you're in, that might be something that could be applied. Drone delivery instead of the more expensive way to deliver. So using robots, perhaps a more generic one might be reusing models and patterns, being able to use those patterns to have a better process that you can generate. Benefits as well could include, I suppose, service delivery speed. You may be able to have a shorter time to market by having things automated, so that you're actually making more money and getting to more customers quicker. You could have things like the data quality indicator that I was talking about. That could be applied and effective and be a good generator through having those processes automated. And then, of course, we've got technology. So technology is still the most important part of the AI strategy, but it really is more around that platform, I would say, and having that platform in place, a robust platform that can promote that real-time connectivity of your data from anywhere. And some of the tactics you could use is building it secure, so making sure it is secure, that it's shared, scalable. So obviously cloud technologies can be included. And I've got that data architecture. You need to have that data architecture in place. So have the data architecture, build out the data models, and be able to have it automated right through from collection to presentation. You could have automation of self-learning. You could divide up that platform, say, into a data warehouse, hub, sandbox, data lake. What are all the tools and everything that you need to provide that data platform? And some of the benefits I've got there, like scalability, ease of use, and secure. It could be actionable insights, and even as low as the number of initiatives that we've productionized. So number of initiatives that have used that data platform and got results, and that's some of the success stories that can be talked about at a data analytics community of practice. Now, the last one I've got there is the information and data to insights as the goal. So what does that mean? So that means having enabling that data to be accessible and at the right time to implement the actionable insights. So I've mentioned there the predictive and prescriptive analytics. So we're moving down the chain from not just the reactive analytics and the descriptive stuff that talks about the past, to moving to what we can do in the future and go into the future behavior that we're expecting. The data governance as well is another one in there that is very important across the information. So I worked for one organization where the data governance decisions was done by the developers. So you can't have the data governance decisions being done there. You need to have that by the data owners who know the data, who are able to see the value of sharing that data across. And so data catalog would be in there, business glossary, say for instance, the data quality measures, maybe tactics to enhance. How do you enhance and exchange the data between others, and how do you get that information across? And that might be through dashboards, and you might be even even progressive enough to have a dashboard for the whole organization that can be actioned. So improved customer experience from having that better information. Actionable insights. So we've talked about going from data right through to insights. You could have data monetization by having that information available. You could be locating data easier through that glossary and a range of other things. Now, I just wanted to pause there, JD, just to see if I get any other questions.
So we got one question. So we have how difficult is to define KPIs against those goals to understand that you are on the right track? That's from David.
Yeah, so for instance, that one, so the benefits are broadly covering the KPIs, and so evidence-based decisions. I think that's a pretty hard one. But if you brought that back to say, what investment decisions are being based on data, and what quality of that data was attached to it. So if you brought it back a level, you could make it a lot easier to reach those KPIs. Increased employee satisfaction. So for instance, you can do that through the more traditional approach, which is through surveys, or that can be done through other means. The information that's like being processed through Yammer and all the other ways that you can use data to understand how your employee is going. But it's definitely some of the KPIs. You don't want to get caught up. I've got a couple of ones there in those benefits that are a little bit harder to do, but you can definitely reduce it down to the number of data sets, for instance, in the information, number of data sets that are shared, the technology, building that platform, how many different organizations, how many different results are we getting through that platform? Is it returning on investment? So reduction in data errors, have something that can be applied to get that stat. So the KPIs, that's a pretty good question, because you need to ensure that the business strategy, what's in the business strategy, what the KPIs are for the corporate strategy, that the AI and data strategy can help with that. Because we're talking about an AI or data strategy that is got business value. We don't want to do an AI data strategy that's all about technology and the next shiny toy. We're talking about business value. So
sounds good. David, has thank you for sharing your expertise and amazing presentation.
Thanks.
I'm just a bit aware of the time. How long? How much presentation is there still left?
Wow, check this
roughly
out.
Awesome.
Oh yes, so perfect. So
Perfect
we've had
timing.
a couple of questions already. I do have the question for the book. So did you want to, JK, is there any other questions you want to ask first?
I do not have any questions right now. Saraf or Somi, do you have any questions? You muted. I'll add you.
Okay. So my question was more around blockchain and AI. So have you seen any examples of AI being implemented using blockchain, or vice versa?
Yeah, so the one that where I'm working now, business aspect, there is this property development transaction platform that we have with blockchain. I don't want to be selling what we've done so much, but it definitely uses blockchain, and it is an effective use of blockchain and AI in combination. So there's a number of areas as well that can not only in the property area where you want to have those, you want to speed those processes up. I believe, in coming years, probably next year, next year and the next 2 years, we won't need to wait as long when we buy a house. So the processes now when we buy a house are very archaic. The paperwork that needs to be filled out, with the real estate, the paperwork that you need to fill out with a conveyancing agent, it's just very archaic, and the processes of the bank as well is very archaic. So I would say within the next year or two, that will become mainstream, that we'll be able to utilize blockchain, utilize the capabilities of AI to have some of those major processes in place. And obviously the problem, I guess, with blockchain has always been the banking industry trying to get a more contemporary approach through them, but it's definitely coming through, and should be in the next couple of years a more commercial blockchain, rather than just the use of the Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies that are currently here. So there's tremendous opportunities. If you're looking at jobs of the future, there will be a lot of opportunities in there. There's already some of those in some of those industries. Accountants, finance, lawyers, banking. They're all looking at ways in which you can use blockchain. And I've got in the new book there, I've got the superpowers. I've got a whole chapter on blockchain, what it is, why it's important. I've got a strategy for blockchain, a realization, and I look at all the examples across the industries. And that's probably, I did mention before, Bernard Maher's book. He has a number of blockchain initiatives in here as well that incorporates AI. So definitely out there and watch this space. Like a lot of things, the fourth industrial revolution, it takes a while to start, but once it gets motoring along, and we're seeing that now, the speed at which it adopts is just it's gonna be really exciting. I love the fact that in the next couple of years we're going to see major changes.
Perfect.
Yep.
That's definitely good.
Yep.
We don't have any other questions, do we, JK?
No. So the question that I have, can I do that now, Sarah?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yep. So my question is, and just jump in whenever you want. I mentioned a bit about the fourth industrial revolution. So what is the fourth industrial revolution? And your own words, what is it? Is my question. Very broad question.
I'm just currently typing into comments so that everyone can see.
I thought you were going to say you're typing into Google, getting a definition.
Funnily enough, I have Googled it a little while ago, but I'll give other people a chance. Maybe we can have a quick discussion while we'll give like a minute for people to answer in the comments. Maybe they'll be able to Google it and then have an answer. And if there's going to be only one answer, we're going to pick just that one. If there are multiple answers, then we'll get the best answer. We have a couple of thank yous over here from Craig, from Rancy. There were a few people that really liked your talk, but they had to leave early, like from Jeff. He asked a couple of questions, and Sammy. So Yeah, thank you for everyone for watching. And we also have a couple of answers now. So the first one, I believe. So we have one is from Craig, artificial intelligence taking over mundane tasks. I believe that is the first answer. The next one is from Phil, is convergence of technologies. We have then David, one of the organizers. For me, it's the final digitalization of everything and advances of AI across different industries, creating unemployment and opportunities. Then we have the use of data to automate the mundane and give better business insights. We have IT as a super tool.
Yeah.
Okay, here we have from Bertius, very interesting, Nigel. That's also very good comment. From Anti-Racing, the physical, digital, and biological, changing the way we work and gather the data. I think somebody Googled.
That's very similar.
Automation of the mundane, hopefully supported by a revolution in society to adjust toward more humane endeavor. All right. For me, it's information and artificial intelligence, prior ones being internet, electricity, industrial revolution. And the last one is good answer, David. So the David one was this one. So,
yeah,
I'll give you. Yeah, I'll give you the choice. Which who is the winner?
I really love that the Tech Talk Corner one. I think that encompasses it. It's really good, and it's original one. And I do talk a lot about the opportunities. I'm not sure about the unemployment side of things, but yeah, that's definitely up there. I like the short one on better business insights.
Better business insights. So I think
that was up there somewhere.
So we have this one.
The use of data to automate the mundane and give better business. Like that's not a bad one, because the reason I like that is it's encompassing the data, the automation of the data, the processes, and giving better business insights. It sort of encapsulates what I've been talking about to align the AI and data strategy with the business insights. So that's key to the fourth industrial revolution. So that's a very good one from Bertus. I liked Rika's definition, but she wrote the book with me, so I can't give it to you, Rika. So yeah, so there's some good definitions there. Is there any more, or is that it?
That's all for now.
Okay. Well, I'll go with Bertus.
All right, Bertus, can you send me a tweet? I'll do.
Just put your robotic arm through the screen, and I'll hand it to you. Excellent.
Yeah, so I am actually going to add the send it on this Twitter at STRATEGICARCHI2. That should be. I probably should say strategic Archie2.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah. So congrats, Bertus. And I'll give it to Saraf to start to finishing off the user group.
Perfect. So just before I start doing that, just one quick question that MRT Racing has. He just wants to know where the PDF version of the book can be found.
Yeah, so it's on Amazon. So Amazon Australia or Amazon America. If you type in the words AI and data strategy, Nigel Schmalkashay will come up. So we can provide the link as well if you like towards the end of the YouTube. And yep.
So I want to say a big thank you, Nigel, for taking the time to actually come and do this presentation. It was very good. I definitely learned quite a few things, especially around blockchain and getting AI working with blockchain, because I did realize initially that that was a viable option.
Mm.
And some of the material presented in this talk is going to be useful for everyone actually looking to start their AI journey, or even if you have started the AI journey, it's something to have a look, just review what you've done, and just see if it's fit for purpose.
Thank you.
Cool. So just a couple of things, guys. So that's basically the end of the presentation for tonight. There's a few housekeeping stuff that we want to cover. So obviously, like I mentioned at the start of the presentation, we're going to be calling ourselves the APAC AI community from the next presentation onwards. The next event, we're tentatively scheduling for the 25th of February. I don't have a specific topic just yet, but I will post the details once I have some information finalized. Okay, please look out for that. Next little thing is if you want to present a session at this user group, or if you would like to hear a talk on a topic, please feel free to log into that GitHub site, raise an issue, and just put in your ideas or your talk in there. We'll track it through that, and we'll reach out and see whether we can organize that topic for you. Okay. Alternatively, obviously, if you're presenting, we'll get everything organized. The APAC AI community is part of the global AI community. So all our talks and presentations that we have done to date is available on that YouTube site, that link. Obviously, with this one, we'll do a little bit of cleanup work for the video, and we'll post it on there once we're done. Okay. So this group is an AI community group. So any feedback that you could provide us will be very useful. So if you can log into that site and just provide your feedback around, the format of the community group, how we are running it, if there's anything that you can improve on, anything else you would like to say, that will be very much appreciated. And with that, guys, I just wanted to say a big thank you to all the attendees for coming tonight. Obviously, Nigel for taking the time to present again, and to my fellow organizers for helping me run this event tonight.
Thank you.
So if you have questions, please feel free to put it into comments. If Nigel's happy to stick around for a few minutes, we'll answer them as we can. Otherwise, everybody have a good night. And cheerio. We'll see you at the next event. Bye.
See ya.